seems just like yesterday, I was elected student body president of the student body for the years 2010-2011. So much has happened in that year, and now it's time for me to pass the baton to the new president, Josh Martinkovic. This year, he served as the vice president of the SGA, and now we're both here to talk about what this past year has been like and things to look for the upcoming year. So Josh, what are some of the challenges that you faced last year as the SGA Vice President and President of the Senate?
Well, being that it was the first year that we actually had this role in this specific position, I was actually setting the foundation for it with the executive and the legislative branches kind of molding together to be more structured and to, instead of be working for different goals, to kind of streamline that into a parallel sense. So one of the major things that I think that we established is the relationship going forward that the executive has with the legislative branch. One of the challenges that we'll have ahead is how to better integrate those two, plus bring in the justices as well for the judicial branch, so that we're not just focusing on two branches and letting one fall to the wayside, but keeping everybody involved, being that the judicial branch has our shipmates program for the first time this year too. So we all know the shipmates are going to be the future leaders of SGA. So as much as we want to try to bring together the branches, I think that's a big goal that we should look forward to accomplishing this year. And Tremayne, can you explain the economic battle that was really started this year and some of the challenges that you had with that and some suggestions that you would have going forward with this year?
Well, I'm reminded of Charles Dickinson. It was the worst of times, and now it's the worst of times. It started a few years ago, and we're actually getting to the brunt of the storm now. And it's, I believe, going to get worse before it gets better. But a quick rundown of it is that the state needs money. And some may feel that sometimes the money is being at the expense of higher education. And so there have been massive budget cuts, almost to the point to where now we're starting to get into cutting people and laying folks off, which is always a scary thing. And so what we're trying to do now is, with as much as we can, advocate for higher education with the State General Assembly. Of course, with the legislature change from Democrat to Republican, there is a historical understanding that Republicans in the State General Assembly are not as, let's say, higher education friendly as the Democrats have been. And so it's going to be a matter of establishing a good relationship with them and pleading our case and our cause, and then keeping students informed and making the right decisions here on the campus.
Okay. And going along with that, with a lot of the major decisions that you've had to make this year, how would you say your role has been with communication with the Chancellor and the Board of Trustees?
Well, in years past, that relationship has been sort of fractured, and it was just by virtue of the positions. But what Brad Cogwin, president preceding me, started, and what I continued, and what I know you'll continue and amplify, is a hand-in-hand sort of relationship and not a student versus the man. We have had a wonderful relationship, open and honest communication. I let him know up front I was here for the student body first and foremost, and I understood that he was there for the university and the administration. And I think that having that understanding up front allowed us to work so much in tandem that there was never any adversarial sort of relationship. That goes the same with the board. I attended every meeting, I was always on time, and I was always prepared. And I was a contributing factor and an actor in the dialogue that we had, and actually making some very important decisions, from seconding the motion to confer all degrees to making recommendations for other matters that we had to discuss. And so if you have an active role in the board, you'll be an acting contributing member, you'll be remembered for that. Now, Josh, of course, being a student leader in the role as student body president, that's a major bit of responsibility that you have already. Now, let me ask you this. How are you going to maintain a boss to friend relationship with the partially new SGA executive?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the major things that I have to do, which I was really prepared for this year with my role as president of my fraternity, Theta Chi, is that you can't start out too nice, right, because everybody's your friend. You have to draw that line between what's professional and what's private. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things that we're going to have to establish early. Another thing, I know a lot of people know that I'm laid back in some of the things that I do, but I think they'll be a little bit surprised with how I run stuff.
Uh-oh.
just because not anything too bad, but I want people to live up to their potential. Mm-hmm. If I know that a person can be great, then I'll expect greatness. Mm-hmm. If a person can, contribute a good amount, then we'll take it, but I'll still push them to be great.
Right.
Because every student at this university has that opportunity, and they have the ability, frankly, to do that. Just not everybody lives up to that potential.
Right.
I started out as just a freshman like everybody else on square one. And, the freshmen coming in this year will have the same opportunities. People who applied to become a part of SGA in the fall will have those same opportunities. But regardless of whether they're returning or not, they're both going to be pushed.
Good.
Because we expect greatness here, and that's what we're going to push. We want to restore the faith and continue to help that grow, mm-hmm. that SGA at ECU is the best in the state.
That's
and
right.
the best in the nation.
That's exactly right.
And we're going to be the most professional about it too. I know you were telling me at the APAC conference last year that it showed that we were one of the better ones, mm-hmm. and we're going to continue to do that. So my style as student body president is going to be understanding, to be patient, mm-hmm. to really be, a student body president student.
I like that.
Yeah, just being that kind of student, but still being in that role. But it'll be tough, and we're going to expect a lot of big things out of everybody. I just want them to be sure coming in that they can live up to it, mm-hmm. because the standard's going to be raised, and everybody's going to have to meet it.
Good. All right. Because it's easier to lighten up than it is to tighten up, right?
Exactly.
Yep. Switching gears a little bit. Mm-hmm. As the student body president, how do you imagine you will manage your time, and so that you can be the most effective?
Okay. Well, I think first off, I'm going to really have to utilize this summer session and all the time that we have during the summer, which is a little bit more laid back, to really plan and prepare. I think I've heard from multiple presidents that the main time to get your platform and your initiatives going is the summer, and really execute during the fall. So I think as much as that we can do during the summer and fall to prepare ourselves, we should go ahead and do it. Because once everything gets started with classes and the freshmen coming in and all of the events that will be happening in the fall, mm-hmm. we won't have time to do that. So as much as we can structure that, I think it would really help out everybody in the office. Some of the minor changes that we've made in the office as well is reconciling everybody's calendar. We just recently purchased a large 12-month calendar for the President's Suite, so that we can have a 12-month calendar that would help us to structure how we're going to proceed through the year, what events we'd like to have, and just make sure that everybody's on the same page. And I have a lot of big goals for communication as well, with really reforming how the university and how we get our message out to the student body. So by doing all of these minor little changes and tweaking the system, I think it'll take a lot of the weight off of us to always perform and do things last minute. And it would help us to establish better relationships long term with people as we're building projects and we're building that relationship that would allow us to, build it in the future. And I just really see planning and preparation as, what needs to be done, because we're expected to have everything ready just as any other department. So we can't just play the role of students and play down to what the expectations are of us, but play up to the expectations that everybody has for us and that we have for ourselves, so that we don't get too stressed, we don't get too emotional about decisions, but we always conduct ourselves in a professional manner. So I think all of these things combined this year will really help us to see that kind of professional side of SGA that I think could be built up more over time. Reversing the question, how did you deal with time management this year, and do you have any hints and tips of how to do it?
Sure. Prioritize, strategize, and mobilize. I had to make a list of priorities, what was most important to me, because you can easily get into the all school mode, all work mode, or all play mode, and you have to actually juggle all three balls at the same time. So I made sure that being a student was my first priority. It's the first word in my title, student body president. I made sure the administration understood that, and I made sure that teachers and professors understood that. So keeping your priorities. Strategy, you're exactly right. Plan it out, make sure you're prepared, and the dominoes will fall exactly how you want them to. And then mobilize, just do it. you have a plan of action, just get right to it. And that's about as simple as I can put it for what I did.
Okay, pretty straightforward. Tremayne, coming into this role now, I know that there's been talk of the perks involved with being student body president. Coming into this role, I haven't been exposed to all of that yet. Could you tell me about some of those things as well?
Well, sure. Well, for as much as the burden and trouble you're going to go through, the perks certainly make it all worth it and make it all better. For one, the board parking that you get, you'll be a member of the Board of Trustees. So you'll have A1 parking, which pretty much you can park any and everywhere, which will make you a hot commodity on campus. You'll be giving lots of students rides, which will be service oriented. So you're you're feeding two birds with one piece of bread. Also, the perks that you get at football games, the attending and sitting in the Chancellor Suite up in the stadium, attending the pregame reception. Just knowing that you're a member of the student body and a member of the Board of Trustees, having your name on the fountain to be etched in the annals of East Carolina forever. And most of the perks are intangibles, the feelings that you get knowing that the decisions that you make are going to affect thousands of people. I mean, there's nothing that can describe that accurately, but only something that you can feel. So there'll be more perks to come, and you'll see them as they do.
Okay.
Well, you know, Josh, I have gotten to know you extremely well from the first time I met you at the Cannonball Dance a few years ago to now, and it has just been an incredible thing to watch you grow, literally as a person, but also figuratively as a leader. And I was just discussing last night with Justin, it was a very candid question. How do you think Josh will do? And I said, well, let me tell you this. Aside from the fact that he's going to do amazing, I said, he has the potential to do greatness. And I said, but what separates him from a lot of other people is we all have potential. But I said, I think he'll realize it and put it into play. So it's been an honor to know you. It's been an honor to serve with you. There's no words to describe how joyful I feel that I'm handing the baton to you. You're going to be able to do far greater than I could. And it's just because we as a team last year laid the foundation. Now you and your team are going to pick it up and hit the pedal to the metal. So thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and the same goes for you too. I mean, I couldn't have done it without the foundation that you and Cornbread have set with really building up over the years. And we're seeing now how the decisions that were made last year are starting to affect what we're doing currently, how the decisions that we've made this year are going to affect next year. And it's such a good feeling to come into a situation like that where it's not rebuilding something, but continuing to see it grow over time. And I don't think it could be attributed to anybody else but you.